Now on TVS, the last in the present series of The Human Factor.
All the world's a stage to Jolyon Jackley. He has just sold his house to buy a theatre. Show business has been in the Jackley blood 200 years, and the dream has always been a Jackley theatre. For £100,000, Jolyon bought the Theatre Royal at Margate in Kent, in all its ornate splendour and increasing squalor. For the last 3 years, it has stood empty, dilapidated and vandalised. Jolyon, what were your feelings when you first stood in this lovely old theatre and you knew it was yours?
Well, a dream come true, but it really led to the day when we walked in and saw it in its rather poor and sorry state. And it crew out, it really screamed out for help from someone. It was saying, "Save me, please."
The lights were last turned on back in 1965. It's a theatre with a ghost and a checkered past. It has bankrupted several owners. It even failed as a bingo hall. To turn his dream into reality, the theatre has to be ready for a pantomime to open 4 days before Christmas. It's a big gamble, and in the process, Jolyon has sacrificed his family home, his wife's dancing school, and disrupted the life of his 2 daughters.
In the first instance, it was very selfish reasons to uproot the family, to do something I wanted to do. But I feel it's for the best, to bring up the children in such an area, by the sea. I had confidence that it was the right decision. Dale obviously needed quite a bit of persuading. But
I think if it had just been the 2 of us, I think there wouldn't have been any problems. I think the thought of uprooting the family, I felt was quite an upheaval. But I think if it was just the 2 of us, it wouldn't have, probably have done this a long time ago, perhaps.
Mm. What was the reaction of the children?
Well, we were very worried about telling them that they'd have to change their school and we'd be moving home. And it was unwarranted because as soon as we said that Mummy and Daddy had bought a theatre by the seaside, of course, you can imagine their reaction. They were just thrilled. I personally feel that I am the right person doing this job. It's as though my career and experience up to this moment in time has been preparing me for what I'm now doing. And I would actually say almost as though there has been a guiding hand, somebody looking down on me and guiding me in this direction.
The Jackley family has a rich theatrical pedigree, from circus clowns, comedians, actors and acrobats to Jolyon, a theatre manager, now owner.
Started with the 7th son of Baron von Hirsch in Alsace-Lorraine in mid-Europe towards the end of the 18th century. This young boy ran away from home to join the circus and to become a clown. And the story goes that he returned to his hometown as a clown, having changed his name to Jackley. And as he came into the ring, the von Hirsches in the royal box, of course, they stood up and turned their backs on Jackley the clown. And that was back in the late 1700s, about the time the Theatre Royal Margate was being built, He had a son called Nathan who started up an acrobatic troupe, and the troupe appeared with Barnum and Bailey's circus. And of course his son was George Jackley, my grandfather.
Jolyon, did you ever know your grandfather?
Alas, no. He died the year I was born, 1950. So these pictures we see of him here, it's the first time I've seen him living and breathing. It's marvellous to see, obviously.
What's your impression of him as an artist?
Well, you can see the family likeness straight away, can't you? And from what I've been told, he was a real character. He had a great gruff voice, and certainly was you know, a marvellous comedian.
Did your father say that he learnt a lot from him?
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, my father is a musician, a singer, dancer, a mime artist, juggler. I mean, my father was literally a jack of all trades as a performer, as would be expected in the early variety days. You know, to pass on one's inheritance to your children would be the talents of the profession.
Jolyon's father, Nat Jackley, was a great all-rounder. He made his name in music hall and was one of the all-time great pantomime dames.
You're my everything.
It was a turbulent childhood. The pressure of being away from home, my parents maybe working separately occasionally, and certainly, one would say, a fairly unsecure upbringing. My father obviously wanted security, I think, and my mother obviously wanted something maybe better for me in the future than the theatrical world, maybe thinking that I would go on to do other things. I even actually thought at one time of changing my name to actually try and make it on my own without, if you like, the burden of being the son of a famous actor. But then somebody whispered in my ear and said, well, in fact, you know, in life, you're not born with very much. You are who you are, and really make the most of it. In the end, I realised it was much better to be the proud son of a famous comedian rather than actually try and live it down, if you like.
The Jackley love affair with the theatre is already passing down to the next generation. As the child of a broken marriage, Jolyon is keen to keep his own family together. Dale, a former black and white minstrel, is the pantomime choreographer. And daughters Michelle and Louisa are dying to get in on the act.
I'm getting there. I've got a hall and I'm busy there every day at the moment, rehearsing on my own. I then hope I can transmit it all over to the dancers and have a lovely show.
6 weeks to go, and with so much work left to do, it seems impossible that Jolyon can make his deadline. Is the pressure starting to build up?
Pressure and excitement, obviously, and I know that with the people around me, I know we can do it. It's not just me on my own now, as it maybe was many months ago. I feel as though it's very much a team effort, and I'm confident, yes.
How about the others?
The big one that is still now very much a headache is whether the electricians can actually rewire the theatre in time. Obviously, there are certain regulations that we have to meet for the licence for the theatre, safety and health requirements. We have to meet certain deadlines, otherwise we will not be allowed to open to the public.
But he has to open on time. Jolyon knows that if the theatre is to survive, he needs paying customers now. So it's imperative the panto opens before Christmas.
How about that?
Amazing, isn't
Isn't that terrific?
Yes.
The Emperor of China is the first member of the cast to visit the theatre, and he's impressed.
Go on, let's
La, 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 la. Oh, yeah, I think we're going to be all right there.
Well, I promise you something. If you're ready for opening night on the 22nd, I promise you the theatre will be ready, OK?
Oh, that's wonderful. All right, it's a deal.
Let me show you the dressing room, OK?
Yes, please, yes.
That's something else, I assure you.
But John Bolter hasn't seen anything yet.
Coming. Now, number one dressing room is this way. Come on through here. This is where Macready, when he last played here, a few years ago, Macready he chose this dressing room, and we call it Macready's dressing room. That's dressing room number 2.
Yes.
Dressing room number 2. All right. There's a mirror on the wall in this one. Go through.
Well, at least I can see to put the moustache on.
All right. Will this one do you?
I'm right, thinking.
Actors will put up with a lot to ensure the show goes on. Some members of the cast, like Jean Self, have been recruited locally, and they're also helping with the repair work.
Although it was very, very hard work, it was tremendously exciting. And I think anybody who really loves the theatre must fall in love with that little theatre. Well, not so little, really. It's quite a large seating capacity, but it is very, very beautiful. And I think you just sort of fall in love with it as soon as you see it.
John, and then over here, this is where they used to keep the horse. If you come over here. Yes.
What, are you serious?
There used to be a stable over there. Just the other side of that wall is where they used to keep their horses.
Everybody's rooting for it. You've only got to be down there and see the people coming through the doors and just poking their heads in. They're so interested. And of course, Jolyon's idea that it is a community theatre, as being a professional theatre, which of course it is, it's for the community, which is a lovely thing. I love the way he's got visitors welcome outside, and everybody feels that's exciting and welcoming.
In the London Theatre.
Jolyon likes to encourage a family atmosphere, and his auntie Pat, an ex-actress, has landed the job as theatre guide.
In the theatre. And I love to think I'm standing on the stage where Ellen Terry and Sarah Siddons stood. Gives me goosebumps. How does it affect you? Do you feel that way, any of you? Isn't it thrilling? Isn't it simply lovely? Now, this theatre is 202 years old. It was built in 1786. This is the second oldest provincial theatre in the country. These two boxes are in use. The top box is where Sarah Thorne, our resident ghost, is reputed to have appeared in the past.
It was like a chilly blast. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. There was a ghost came across the stage, which I saw, and she disappeared into the wings. And when I take my dog out, this dog is aware of the ghost because he won't pass certain parts at night time.
Jim Gleddell reckons he made the acquaintance of one Sarah Thorne, dead for nearly 100 years. She was the formidable actress-manager of the Theatre Royal in its heyday, and according to local legend, is still resident.
So I do rather believe in the ghost of Sarah Thorne. I think it's rather nice because I read that she said on her deathbed, while the Theatre Royal lives, I'll be there. And I like to think that she is, and I like to think that she'll be here on our opening night.
Flies, props. Oh, hello, the mother-in-law's been, she flew. How about that then? Hey!
When you come out here, does it make you want to sort of get up and do your routine?
Oh, yeah, it's intimate, you know, the boxes and everything.
Comedian Charlie Chester lives only a few miles from the Theatre Royal, and for him and other old troopers, the revival of a theatre is very special.
Now, you played with Nat Jackley for some time, didn't you?
Yeah, the last time I played with Nat Jackley was when we deputised for Sid Field. He was taken away ill, you know. And I deputised 3 times, and Nat was with me. He's a funny man, Nat. I knew his father, George. He was also a comic, but I think Nat was the funnier of the two. He was more my era.
Can you give me an imitation of his act?
Oh, Nat's?
Yeah.
Nat, no, he's got rubber legs and rubber neck. He fascinates me. All that sort of thing. He was very funny. And little Sammy Curtis and these other boys that used to be with him, they're a perfect team.
What about Nat's son, Jolyon, taking this on and taking the theatre back again?
Well, that is marvellous. I mean, it really is, because the sad thing is to think that somebody's bringing it back rather than killing it is wonderful, because, you see, there's nowhere for old pros to perform and new ones to learn the business. I could do a nice hour for him anyway. But, no, I'd love to come here and do a spot. I really would. Oh, yes, it's great.
Give us a one-liner then, Charlie. The stage is yours.
I'll tell you what, I used to love to do monologues, you know, like Billy Bennett. A dirty night and a dirty trick, for the boat capsized in the Atlantic. I said to a girl, you must swim, hang on to a boy if you can. She looked at me coy and said, you're not a boy, get out, you're a dirty old man.
Charlton Heston, and for Lauren Bacall, Jane Asher and Ian McKellen very, very recently, we stuck to 12.50. Recently, the new...
David Land is an impresario who understands the business in show business.
They can produce grosses...
Would he have taken Jolyon Jackley's gamble?
I think that if you have the urge as strong as he's got it, it must be the correct thing to do. There's so many people that live unexciting, mundane lives with his enthusiasm. I don't know, my wife would be very pleased about it, but as far as he's concerned, I think that he's done a very, very brave thing.
Would you put money into it?
It's a very difficult question. You say, when I put money into it. Then and now. You see, that's the question. Jolyon's a young man, you know, it's...
I take it you wouldn't put money into it?
I would put some money into it. I wouldn't go overboard on it, sort of thing. It's worth a flutter, you know, put it that way. It's no more hazardous than some of the shows I've got money into.
Jolyon himself learnt his trade in the West End, working at the Whitehall, the Lyric and the Theatre Royal Drury Lane before becoming manager of the Theatre Royal Windsor. All good experience, but a long way from the seaside.
I believe that life isn't a rehearsal. We're only here once and we have to make the most of it. As far as the future's concerned, I see us simply being a theatre, a special kind of theatre, presenting the whole range of plays, musicals, opera. I'd like to think it'll be anything that can go on a stage will be on the Theatre Royal stage.
Kent Opera are planning to use the theatre and seem pleased with the acoustics.
Business for the pantomime is very promising. I'm amazed that people are just walking in the front door and asking for tickets, almost without question. It's most encouraging.
So pleased that it is being restored and hope it'll be successful.
All right. Well, I'm sure we'll have lots of good things on for you.
Yes,
I look forward to welcoming you.
Thank you.
I would say Margate and Thanet is set for a revival. I believe all seaside resorts in this country are set for a revival. The family coming to the seaside, it will once again become a popular holiday. It might be a second holiday, it might be a short break holiday, but I think as long as a town is willing to win over the customers again, and they have to offer something to the customers, then I believe it can happen. Okay, welcome to the Theatre Royal, all of you. 4 weeks tonight we open. Now you all know... Now, you all know why you're here today. You know, it's costume fitting day, it's music day.
Praying day.
And it's a very important day for the Theatre Royal. It's a very important day for me. We're in this historic, beautiful theatre, and I'm so proud and pleased that every one of you individually are taking part in it. We all go back quite a long way, don't we, you know?
Go back to the days when this was a theatre.
You probably closed it, Trevor.
To be happy is quite easy, you will see. So clear your throats, repeat this after me. Just sing, what are we? We're happy, come rain or hail or shine. What are we? We're happy, 'cause we're all doing fine.
Quiet! What's all this noise? Clear all this mess here.
Preparing a show in competition with the Hammers and the Hoovers is no easy task for the actors or the panto director, Alan Curtis.
Quiet! Quiet! What's all this mess? Clear it up at once! Clear it up! And then boo hiss. Who are you from Gordon? I am WPC Hung Low. Pekin's first Chief of Police.
I have great respect for Jolyon's assessment of the situation. He's a young man still, but very experienced, you know, because of the influence of his father and Nat's 55 pantomimes. Jolyon knows a lot about pantomime, saw the problems and latched on quickly to a very good team. I mean, Trevor Bannister and I came down here at the beginning of August, and you really wouldn't think that the theatre would be open in a year, frankly, but it's going to be, and it's going to be splendid.
Fall out, you wave your wooden leg about, it's tragic.
beautiful woman.
Yeah, where?
Am I right in thinking that I am addressing Widow Twankey?
Yes, from the look in your eye, I think you're undressing the Widow Twankey. What?
I am a traveller from a far distant land.
Yes, don't tell me you've had a lift from Herdia Bay.
I know. What are we going to wear with this, Black?
How about those shoulders?
Seasoned panto artist Trevor Bannister is playing Widow Twankey.
You just got to take that bit in. Just take that bit in. No, that'll be super.
A big responsibility on your shoulders as Widow Twankey.
Yes, especially those shoulders. Yes, it is, yes. Widow Twankey's a marvellous dame.
An extra responsibility because Nat Jackley made the part his own.
He was a great dame. That wonderful India rubber body of his was fantastic.
Are you pinching any of his act at all?
Like all other people, I've pinched everything.
Please, there we are. Fine.
Right up.
Comes up a tree with a bit of dazzle. Size 10 boots. Can you draw it?
Right, size 10 boots over here. Through here.
Actor Bobby Mill is back on old ground.
Bobby, what part are you playing actually in this pantomime?
The Vizier, the Grand Vizier.
Is it true you started your acting career at this theatre?
Absolutely. The day after I left drama school, it was a weekly rep then, came here, ASM. I did Grand National Night here, Agatha Christie, Touch It Light. You know, it was wonderful.
Nice costume, shame about the face. Oh.
See, they don't build theatres like this anymore. All the little theatres that we play around the country now, the new town gates here and this theatre here and university theatres here, they have no atmosphere at all, unfortunately. They're very nice, bricks and mortar, if you like, sitting in a breeze block building. But this place is just oozing with atmosphere. I think this is a good time to revive this theatre. And I think with all the enthusiasm that I've witnessed from people involved with it, it's going to be successful. This show is going to be a marvellous traditional family pantomime, which will be the rebirth totally of this theatre. If it doesn't succeed, I think mostly it'll be down to local people.
You have to say, busy bee, busy bee. What have you got?
It seems the actors are going to make it, but will the theatre be ready? The building inspectors are busy even during rehearsals. And the big question is, will all the safety regulations be passed? The man with the say-so is Margate's fire safety officer.
You appear to have got on very well. There's still an awful lot to do, though, here, as you can appreciate.
I know.
I shall need to see the seating arrangements when you've actually finalised them, in order that I can give you the approval that you require.
Yes. It is a race against time, and I appreciate all your advice and guidance. And all I can say is it's up to me to make sure I come up with the goods. And you know,
I'm very pleased to hear that, Mr. Jackley. I'm sure that the Fire Authority will be more than pleased to advise you on a day-to-day basis, really, to ensure that that you open on time.
Yes.
And open, hopefully, well, without a doubt, with everything up to the mark.
Like any good but superstitious thespian, Jolyon feels he can overcome any problem, provided luck is on his side.
I feel that the omens, from the very start, have been on my side. I mean, even to the very first day when I walked backstage, and in the prop room I came across an old horseshoe. Why a horseshoe should be in a Theatre Royal, I don't know, but on that very first day, I pinned it to the front of the stage. I am a bit superstitious. I think any theatre world has to be. But that horseshoe, I think that'll bring me the extra bit of special luck that'll help. Certainly someone up there in the gods is looking down on me kindly.
Jolyon's deepest regret is that his father will miss the opening night. He died only a few months ago.
On the first night, I'm sure he'll be there in spirit, although he can't, of course, be there in person.
Thought the same, didn't you? Oh, this marvellous boys and girls. You know, I must tell you that I'm a lonely widow. How do, Charles? How do, Matty? That's the stuff to give.
the Theatre Royal has now satisfied all the safety regulations, and after a final inspection by the magistrates on Wednesday, Aladdin should open as planned this Thursday, the 22nd of December.